Welcome to AI Verdict, your absolute go-to source for the latest in AI. Google just dropped Gemini 3.5 Flash, and today we're cutting through all the noise to break down exactly what this model is, what is new under the hood, and we're going to give you a clear-eyed look at whether it's actually worth switching your entire workflow over to.
Look, I completely get it. If you're exhausted trying to figure out which new model is actually worth your time, and honestly, the headache of switching up how you work, you are definitely not alone. It feels like there's a new best model ever dropping every single week.
But you really need to pay attention to this one, because this release genuinely changes the game. Google is claiming that Gemini 3.5 Flash runs a staggering 4 times faster than other top frontier models out there. That is not just some minor incremental bump. That's the kind of speed that completely alters what you can build. And here is what really blew my mind. It actually manages to beat Google's own heavyweight, significantly more expensive Pro model on almost every single benchmark. And it does this while using 72% fewer tokens. We're talking about a generational leap in efficiency here. In this explainer, we'll meet Gemini 3.5 Flash, look under the hood at its architecture, do a benchmark reality check, break down the speed and cost profiles, uncover some hidden limitations, and finally, give you the ultimate AI verdict. Let's jump right into Section 1. Meet Gemini 3.5 Flash, the new default. So this officially launched on May 19th, 2026 at Google I/O, and it's already the default model powering their entire ecosystem, from the Gemini app and Google Search's AI mode to AI Studio, Vertex AI, and their brand new anti-gravity platform for agent development. Google's pitching this as frontier intelligence with action. To translate that out of marketing speak, it means this model was purpose-built for agentic workflows. It doesn't just sit there answering questions like a standard chatbot. It literally rolls up its sleeves. It can autonomously plan multi-step tasks, write and fix its own code, use external tools, and analyze images and videos on the fly. Moving on to Section 2, Architecture Under the Hood, featuring native multimodality and massive context. First up, native multimodality. There's no clunky separate vision mode here. It fluidly handles text, images, video, and audio all in the exact same prompt. Plus, just look at the massive context window. It supports up to 1 million input tokens and 64,000 output tokens. You can drop entire books or hours of transcripts in there. For some context, GPT-4 Turbo tops out at 128K. Also, while it does have a knowledge cutoff of January 2025, it has built-in function calling and search tools, meaning if you wire it up right, it pulls live data seamlessly. And crucially, it's built under Google's Frontier Safety Framework, complete with CBRN safeguards and cybersecurity filters to reduce harmful content without those frustrating query refusals. All right, Section 3, the benchmark reality check, which is a generational leap in performance. Google somehow squeezed pro-level intelligence into the Flash tier. The numbers are wild. A partner benchmark showed it performing 42% better than Flash 3 on cyber reasoning. For coding on Terminal Bench, it scored 76.2%, right behind GPT-5.5's 78.2%. On the MCP Atlas multi-step planning test, it hit 83.6%, actually leapfrogging Claude 4.7. For multimodal reasoning, it matched Claude Opus 4.7 at 84.2% on chart reasoning and beat it on MMU Pro. And as for abstract logic, on the Arc AGI-2 puzzles, it literally doubled the previous generation's score, rocketing from 33.6% to 72.1%. But hey, let's pump the brakes for just a second. It is absolutely crucial to remember that these are mostly Google's internal numbers or early access lab data. So keep a grain of healthy skepticism until we see independent MMLU results published. Which brings us to Section 4, Speed and Cost Profiles. Subsecond, Magical Responses. The claim that it's 4 times faster than other frontier models, yeah, it appears to be real. Running 3 times faster than even Gemini 2.5 Pro, it's delivering sub-second responses that make real-time interactive AI feel like pure magic. And on the cost side, the paid API tier runs $1.50 per million input tokens and $9 per million output. That is noticeably cheaper than GPT-4 Turbo's 10/30 split. Plus, because it's so efficient, using 30 to 70% fewer tokens for the same tasks, your actual cost per task drops even lower. Now for Section 5, the hidden limitations. Let's talk about what Google isn't highlighting. No AI is perfect, right? First off, it still hallucinates.
If you're doing safety-critical work, Claude Opus 4.7 still has the edge, sitting at a much safer 36% hallucination rate on tricky queries. Second, it's cloud-only and proprietary. There is no open-source version or local download here. You are locked into Google's ecosystem, which can be a huge constraint for highly regulated industries. Finally, it's brand new. It's just less battle-tested than ChatGPT or Claude, meaning you're probably going to encounter some early API hiccups or weird quirks.
Finally, Section 6, the ultimate AI verdict and our head-to-head showdown. So, how does it stack up against ChatGPT, specifically GPT-4.0 or GPT-5.5? Gemini wins clearly on speed, cost, and native multimodality. However, ChatGPT is still the undisputed king of ecosystem maturity, massive plugin libraries, and proven reliability. What about Grok from xAI? Well, Grok is great for incredibly fast, casual, web-aware text answers. But honestly, it remains mostly text-based and is a generation behind Gemini 3.5 Flash when it comes to deep reasoning and multi-step, multimodal capabilities. Then there's Claude, specifically Opus 4.7 and Sonnet 4.6, which is honestly the tightest race. Claude absolutely wins on factuality, careful reasoning, and safety, making it the definitive go-to for legal or healthcare tasks. Gemini, however, wins on raw speed, cost, and those massive multimodal workflows, while practically tying Claude on things like UI control. Let's put this into a real-world scenario. Say you give these models a complex, multi-step Python project analyzing 10,000 images. Gemini 3.5 Flash, using the anti-gravity platform, will just spin up parallel subagents to execute everything at once. ChatGPT will give you a brilliant plan, but you'll have to execute manual steps. Claude will be highly cautious and verbose. And Grok, it'll give you a quick text snippet, but completely struggle with the visual image analysis. Ultimately, Gemini 3.5 Flash is undeniably a generational leap for fast, agentic workflows. It brings pro-level intelligence to a price and speed that makes real-time AI magical. But it leaves us with one final crucial question for your own workflow. Given the trade-offs, which model are you going to choose as your daily driver starting tomorrow?